So the new season of DBX is finished, and oh boy was it amazing. Normally DBXs aren't that good, but with this season, I think Death Battle finally figured out how to do them right. So let's not waste any time and talk about the episodes from worst to best.
But hey, that's just a theory.
I really wasn't expecting much from this matchup, but even I was disappointed. This episode is just really boring. Let's get some positives out first though. The jokes in the analysis are actually really good. Pretty much all of the boomstick jokes got a laugh out of me, and the analysis segment overall is pretty good. That's all the positives. Once the analysis is over, the quality drops heavily. The fight is just painfully boring. It really didn't even feel like a fight, aside from maybe two somewhat good scenes. The choreography is pretty uninteresting, and there was a lot of wasted potential. They barely used any of Ness's abilities, and Sans didn't even get to have any banter. Finally, the death was pretty bad. It comes out of nowhere, and Sans apparently kills Ness by crushing his heart, despite the fact that it would have already been pierced here. So, that doesn't make sense. But, basically, if you're gonna watch this DBX, just watch the analysis, and then stop the video.
Stand on water like a ninja, Jesus.
What a coincidence! The episode right after Ness vs. Sans is just as bad. Naruto vs. Ryu is a pretty boring episode that only barely edges out the previous one. The analysis is good, I guess. I really like Wiz as a co-host. He and Ringmaster play off each other really well, and the black hole calc joke was really good. Overall, the analysis was just pretty good. Then there's the fight, which was just okay. I like the starting fight on the train. It actually had some interesting choreography, and overall had me interested. Once they got off the train, though, the fight really starts to fall. The choreography gets boring, and aside from this one well-done scene, it stays very uninteresting until the death, which is so bad it's funny. Overall, this is pretty much the same as Ness vs. Sans, except the fight's actually kinda worth watching. Thankfully, now that these two train wrecks are out of the way, we can get to the actually good episodes.
I may be an inanimate cardboard cutout, but I feel like this is a hostile work environment.
Alright, now we get into the actually good episodes. Blue Ranger vs. Sailor Mercury is a solid episode. The analysis is pretty good. Ringmaster using cardboard cutouts as co-host kinda works, and there were a couple jokes that I actually liked. This analysis was definitely one of the weaker ones for me though, but the fight makes up for it. The animation is pretty good with some really great choreography at points. Their abilities bounce off each other really nicely, and the environment is used well, especially in the shot of Billy getting tossed across the lake. One problem though is that at times the sound design is pretty bad, especially during the fight in the sky. Other than that though, it's all around a pretty good fight and episode in general.
This cancer thing is pretty strong.
For the premiere of this season of DBX, Gogeta vs. Vegito did a damn good job. The analysis is fun and has some pretty good jokes. I really like the time limit jokes Boomstick made. And speaking of Boomstick, he's a really good co-host. He's probably my favorite co-host, although Wiz does come pretty close. The analysis is overall good, as per usual this season. Anyways, moving on to the fight, it's really good. My only two big issues are that the sprites aren't the best and that the death is pretty boring. Otherwise, it's a great animation. The choreography is really well done and fast-paced. There's some really cool scenes like them hitting each other across the earth and breaking reality. Overall, it's just a really good fight that's a lot of fun to watch. Nothing else to say, it's just a fun episode and a good way to start the season.
Only ducks fall out.
Sad to say, from what I've seen, I'd say Donald vs. Daffy is a tad bit overrated. Now, I'm not saying it's bad, because it's still a really good episode. The analysis is okay. It represents the characters well, and we get a Mecha Goose Howard this episode, which is an automatic plus. But I didn't think the analysis was all that funny, which is what I mostly want from a DBX analysis. So the analysis kind of just disappoints me. But luckily the fight definitely made up for it. The fight is just really fun. It's got a nice retro aesthetic, and the overall animation quality is good. The choreography is pretty good, and the jokes are really good. The Ducks Only joke got a really good laugh out of me. And the overall slapstick action and funny gags make this fight really enjoyable. Also, the death's good. The kill itself was pretty lame, but Bugs making an appearance was cool. Overall, while I do think the episode's a bit overrated, it's still a really good episode.
The Emperor demands thick, voluptuous bitches.
This episode is a really mixed bag. On the one hand, we have the analysis, which is pretty bad. But on the other hand, we have the fight, which is fucking awesome. We'll get the analysis out of the way first. The analysis just isn't that good. It covers the characters decently well, but it's not that funny, and Cell is pretty easily my least favorite co-host. Him and Ringmaster don't have good chemistry at all, mostly due to them barely even interacting with each other. I at least like the Kermit joke, but other than that, the analysis just bored me. Thankfully, Devil Artemis did much better on the fight than the analysis. The fight is amazing. It has great choreography and cinematography, especially in the scene near the start of the fight. The effects look incredible as per usual from the SFM team. The voice acting is good, and it uses the Heartless Empire for its trick, which is something that got me more hyped than anything else in this season of the DBX. My only issue with the fight is that it's pretty short, but the quality definitely makes up for the quantity. All in all, this is a good episode that could have easily been in the 9 out of 10s if the analysis was actually good.
The fire, Daddy.
It's honestly hilarious that this DBX is better than Zuko vs. Todoroki. Zuko vs. Roy is a pretty great episode. I really like the analysis. It covers the characters well, and it's very funny. And after thinking about it, Dummy might actually be my favorite co-host. Him and Ringmaster play off each other very well, and Dummy's probably funnier here than he ever was on Death Battle. Moving on to the fight, it's really damn good. There's a bit of jank here and there, but it's easy to look past because of how fun the choreography is. They use the environment really well throughout the fight, the combatants' powers are used in interesting and unique ways, the track uses a banger, everything is just really good, with the exception of the death, which is pretty bad. It's janky and way too funny looking. Overall though, it's a really great episode that is somehow better than every other Avatar episode we've had on Death Battle.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson!
I'm so glad this matchup got the quality it deserves. Apocalypse vs. Black Adam was the first episode of this season that showed why it is truly the best season. Once again, we'll start with the analysis. I really liked it. It covered the characters well and it was pretty funny. The Boo Wiz joke and Wiz swapping places with Marshall were both really funny. Oh yeah, and they made a Dwayne The Rock Johnson joke, so the comedy is automatically a 10 out of 10 in this episode. Anyways, the analysis was good, but the fight is where the episode really stands out. This fight is actually Death Battle levels of quality. It's fun and the choreography is great, and it shows off the difference in speed and power really well. Then there's the cinematography, which is amazing. I mean, we get a scene of Adam using a pyramid as a fucking drill. What is there not to love about that? The effects are good, and the death is really damn brutal as well. Overall, the episode's just really damn good, but I'm gonna be honest, it really didn't come close to the number one.
Done, huh?
This episode took number one with relative ease. Goomba vs. Koopa 2 is what I'd say is the magnum opus of DBX as of right now. Starting off with my only real issue with the episode, that being the analysis. Now don't get me wrong, I do still kinda like the analysis. Jocelyn returning is cool and it does cover the characters well enough. My problem is that it wasn't really funny. There weren't many jokes and the ones that they told usually fell flat. If the analysis was funnier, this episode would be an easy 9.5 out of 10. However, it's still a solid 9 out of 10, mainly due to how incredible the fight is. This fight has no right being as awesome as it is. First off, the choreography is amazing. We get some really fast scenes with hits with big impact, and speaking of impact, this fight goes insane on that scale. We start off with them breaking a ship, then they fight faster than time itself, then Goomba kicks Koopa around the entire planet into the fucking moon, and then they break reality. This fight went so above and beyond on this scale, and it makes it even more hilarious than it already is. And there's a soundtrack which manages to sell the sheer epicness of this fight so well. And finally, the death is great, with Koopa literally going back in time and obliterating the Koopa. Overall, this episode's fucking amazing and contender for my favorite DBX of all time. And with that, we've covered all the episodes, so let's wrap this video up. And that's season 4 of DBX. All in all, it's pretty easily the best season of DBX so far. I really enjoyed it, and honestly, one of the things I enjoyed the most was the humor. If I'm being honest, Death Battle lately hasn't really been the funniest, so I really hope they can look into what worked here and start improving. But back on topic, this season was great, with only 2 episodes that I actually considered bad, and the rest ranging from just good to goddamn amazing. Anyways, I'm gonna end the video here. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.